A lot of the divisiveness of Halo 3 ODST stems from the fact that no one really knew what it was. Was it a full game with less content, or an overpriced expansion for Halo 3? To this day, people still don't really know what to make of Halo 3 ODST. However, most people agree that the content we did receive was at the very least solid, if not excellent. Today we are ranking the levels in ODST in terms of their quality. Same rules as before apply. And a quick note, I always only use gameplay missions, leaving cutscene missions out, or things like the Armory from Halo 2. I will be making what I can only anticipate to be an unpopular decision by leaving Mombasa Streets off this list. I just can't really stack it up against the more traditional levels. It's more of a hub world than a mission, if that makes sense. That means we only have 8 missions to take a look at. This is the part of my ranking video where I normally put a boring, repetitive, and aesthetically uninteresting flood mission. But hey, what do you know? ODST has no flood. So what do I put here? Well, neither of the 2 missions I decided on going at the bottom are as bad as the flood levels. They still leave a little to be desired. The final mission is ODST's low point, which may surprise some people as this mission isn't as disliked as I think it could have been. First off, it feels unoriginal. It seems to have combined the Warthog Run endings from Halo 1 and 3 with the opening part of Metropolis from Halo 2. This may sound cool in theory, but in execution it definitely feels uninspired. It's not epic like any of those missions, in fact it's a little boring. It goes on just a tad too long. It also follows some hated gaming and Halo tropes. It's an escort mission that ends in a defense horde mode section that also uses a bunch of copy and pasted play spaces. Coastal Highway is not bad, it's fine, but that's the best I can say about it, and in a game with mostly solid missions, fine lands you at the bottom of the list. I thought about putting Data Hive at the bottom, but decided against it. With that being said, it is definitely below the other missions on the list. Its biggest weakness is copy-pasted rooms and repetitiveness, which gives it a padded feel. It's one of the only missions in ODST that feels padded though, so that's a good thing for the game. Also, we need to talk about the drone problem. In Halo, the player has 3 primary modes of attack: shooting, grenades, and melee. When an enemy is in the air, melee isn't normally an option when the enemy is flying out of reach, and normally grenades are not an option either. And I don't want to hear, oh, you can stick it with a plasma grenade, or if they fly too close to you, you can melee as it goes by. Yes, I know there are specific instances where you can use melee or grenades, but it isn't a strategy available enough of the time. Drones are semi-fine when they are used sparingly as an on-occasion change of pace in Halo 2 and 3. Keyword being on-occasion change of pace. In Data Hive, they are used quite often as a core enemy. This really hurts the flow of Halo's combat. With that being said, there are some solid CQB Covenant fights to be had here, so it isn't awful, just kind of below average. Tayari Plaza comes in the next spot. Tayari Plaza, like most Halo First missions, is exclusively infantry and more linear in nature. It is a little bit more open than the Pillar of Autumn and Cairo Station, but it is probably just a little bit more of a tutorial segment than Sierra 117. Whether this is good or bad is in the eye of the beholder. I find that I like my first Halo missions more on the side of CE and 2, but I can understand if you like the training wheels off a little earlier. There's a good mix of Covenant and infantry section, including Hunters, but it does little else to mix up Halo's formula. Not bad, but pretty average and just a little forgettable. Kikowani Station is going to finish as the 5th best mission. I've always been a little less of a fan of Bungie's Banshee sections. They're not bad, but they don't always do a whole ton for me. However, Halo 3 didn't feature Banshee sections, so at least it feels a little unique as opposed to some of the other missions, which can run a little close to Halo 3. The mission doesn't drag either, because they throw a few infantry segments to keep it fresh. The scare fight at the end is pretty cool, as you have limited resources to take it down, but it's pretty easy to just land on it with your Banshee, so maybe it's not as cool as it could have been. There's also a glitch on this mission that can make you have to restart the mission. However, it is relatively early in the mission, so it's not awful, but I have run into that before. Overall, solid mission in ODST. As far as defense missions go, Oni Alpha Site is one of Halo's best. 2 things really help this mission out compared to a lot of other defense sections, and they are very similar to the reasons I gave for liking Crow's Nest back in Halo 3. One is that there is an actual explanation to why we are holding out. Some games in the Halo franchise that will go unnamed sorry, something caught in my throat there. Where was I? Oh yeah, some games in the Halo have you holding out in the area for a bunch of waves for no reason at all, which makes these sections feel tedious. Halo 3 remedied the issue, and Halo 3 ODST carries this over. Also, Halo 2 had the shortcomings of having players defend in one area for an extended period of time. In only Alpha Site, however, the player is always falling back to another line of defense to hold out. This gives the mission a great sense of momentum, which is normally not found in other defense-oriented missions. Uplift Reserve is a fantastic mission for the most part. It has that classic outdoor Warthog gameplay we all love. Two main problems hold Uplift Reserve back for me, however. One is I find it a little too similar to Sabo Highway, especially from an aesthetic standpoint. I mean, it still has that weird ODST filter on it, and the zoo touches change it up a bit, but I can't help but feeling I'm playing a worse version of Sabo. The other is an inherent flaw with ODST's lower health and an overall attempt to make the player less powerful. I'll talk more about when I do a review on how well these goals were executed, but for now you just need to understand that in ODST, sections where players are pitted against vehicles, especially when that section is more open, are a little easier to die than in the Trilogy Halos. Thus, this mission can be a little more frustrating. Those flaws are minor in the grand scheme of things though, and don't take too much away from an overall great time. Kizingo Boulevard is ODST's tank mission. At this point in the Halo franchise, the whole thrill of getting to drive a tank and blow shit up was starting to lose its luster just a little. However, ODST takes extra steps to ensure that it doesn't feel stale. The primary step here is the fact that you are limited to close-quarter city streets. Past Halo games have opened up the map when you got in a vehicle, which makes sense. And I'm not saying that this tank section is necessarily better than tank sections in wide open spaces. In fact, in a vacuum, I would argue the opposite. My point is that ODST made sure that tank sections offered an experience that hasn't necessarily been offered before, something I wish Uplift Reserve would have done. Having less maneuverability to avoid shots and having enemies be placed in more locations that can surprise the player when they turn a corner. I'll give Kizingo Boulevard some new experiences. Kizingo is bookended by two quick infantry segments, the latter of which being the bigger highlight as the player is tasked with repelling a large wave of Covenant while simultaneously taking an enemy wraith out without a vehicle or explosives. I do wish the game didn't tell you to use an overcharged plasma and instead let the player figure it out, but even with the game tipping its hand, this ending section is still challenging, but a fair fight. NMPD HQ remains my favorite mission in ODST. NMPD HQ isn't just another traditional sniping section. Like Kizingo Boulevard, it takes what is traditionally an open mission type and squeezes it down into a close-quarter city setting, which adds a fresh twist. The emphasis is more on verticality, mid-range sniping, and using your sniper in creative CQB ways, such as using it to strip brutes' shield and then quickly swapping over to a headshot weapon for the final blow, or adding a fatal melee, or just following it up with a well-timed second shot. All this goodness leads to the final stand against dropships and banshees atop a helipad. The final fight is one of the most memorable moments in the game, and for good reason. Veteran players who are more skilled and thus able to take down more dropships and banshees will find less resistance on the ground, while newer and worse players will struggle to take down the enemy dropships, will find more squads of Covenant demanding their attention. I find that NMPD HQ is a great mix of traditional Halo combat and specialty Halo combat, if that makes sense. Missions like Kizingo and Uplift, as good as they are almost all specialty combat, while something like Teari Plaza is just traditional combat. NMPD HQ is a little of both. It's not perfect, of course. One big drawback is how fast it's over. Sure, most ODST missions are lightning quick, but NMPD HQ's length is almost laughable. But of all the missions on offer here, I do like NMPD HQ the most. So there you have it, Halo ODST's 8 missions ranked from worst to best. Next up, we will be taking a look at Bungie's final entry into the Halo franchise, Halo Reach, and seeing how its missions stack up against each other. And as always, be sure to leave your list down below with a small explanation letting me know how you think the missions in ODST stack up against each other, and hopefully you'll be back for Halo Reach. See you then.